Hi everyone, and welcome back to Just Another Crochet Along. This is Melanie from She Stitchin'. Our stitch this week is going to be the basket V-stitch. It works up very easily. Here I have in my Caron 1 pound colors for the Crochet Along. And then I've also worked it up in, oh, that's upside down. I've also worked it up in a cotton, and this is the Peaches and Cream chocolate milk color. So what you can see about the pattern, it has these, kind of has a basket look to it, and these are created by a V-stitch, but the V-stitch is going to be using long DC stitches instead of regular DC stitches. So this is what, let me show you real fast. This is what our V-stitch square looked like. So you can see our V's here, and these are just the long V's, and they turn out quite a bit straighter because they're going down in between stitches. And we've used the long DC before when we did our granny spike stitch. So these next door are the regular DCs, and this is the long DC. To kind of see the difference there. And I will show you how to do the long DCs, the long double crochets. That's the American terms. And I will show you how to do this pattern. It also works up really cute to make baskets. So yesterday I just made this cute little sample, perhaps to be like an Easter basket or something. And let me see how many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is just 6 rows. And you can see there, it looks really pretty in a one color. Sorry if there's hair on here. My 9-month-old was playing with this yesterday. As soon as I finished making it, he started walking around with it. So it does look really pretty in one color. And then here you can see I chose 3 different colors, and I was changing colors every row, so I have all these ends to weave in. And the sugar and cream milk chocolate is a variegated yarn, so that's what it looks like. And I think if you tried, you would probably be able to do this with color pooling. You can see it starting to happen. So if that's a technique that you like to do, it's probably possible. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in order to get started, we're going to be using a 3.75 hook and the size 4 yarn that goes along with your crochet along. So for my crochet along, I am using the Caron 1 pound here from Yarn Inspirations. This is, I love the Caron 1 pound so far. It's very soft compared to other bulk acrylic that you can get for a good price, like the Caron 1 pound. These colors are the pale green and the light sage, along with the light gray mix. And I really enjoyed using my Caron 1 pound so far. I've pulled a ton of weight out of them. I don't get that many yarn barfs of any sizable amount, and they're still staying in their skein. So I do love my Caron 1 pound so far. Like I said before, this is in the Peaches and Cream chocolate milk. And then today, for the sample that I'm working on, we're going to be working with this beautiful Peaches and Cream cotton that is called something emerald. Let's see. Emerald Energy. And I'm just using a cotton so that I can make some wash rags. This one is going to be going to my sister-in-law, and this one is in the colors for my kitchen. So I've gone ahead and finished our row 1, which is 30 stitches. It is 29 single crochet and then a turning chain. So in order to get to that, you're going to want to chain 31 and then skip 2 spaces and go and do a single crochet. So you skip 2 spaces and you do a single crochet into what is the 29th chain, and then go back and single crochet all the way across, and that gives you 30 single crochets. And that's to maintain the size and count for our crochet along. So go ahead and pause the video and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and start on row 2 with you guys. I've got my first stitch here is going to be a chainless standing double crochet. This is a little bit fancy if you haven't done it before, but I have been using it for all our squares. So I'm just going to do one, show how to do it here, and if you're not comfortable doing it, you can just do a chain 3 instead. So what you're going to do first is pull up your loop to the height of a double crochet, and then you're going to place your finger here and maintain pressure. Then we're going to wrap around and place in that first stitch, yarn over the back, and pull it through, and make sure you're still holding that finger down. As you can see, it looks like we have a loop and a yarn over and a first loop. So then you pull and yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2, and that's how I do my chainless standing double crochet. I will put a link in my description to the Moogly channel where Tamara created the chainless standing double crochet, and she does a great job breaking it down. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I've been using it for all of our 18 squares, the squares that need a double crochet for the first stitch. So if you're not comfortable doing that, you can just do a chain 3. You can go over and check out her blog, or you can rewind mine a few times to get going. Then what we're going to do is we're going to skip 1 stitch, and we're going to do a standard V-stitch. So the V-stitch that we're going to use is going to be a double crochet, so I'll walk you through that double crochet. It has a yarn over, and then you place in the space, yarn over, pull through 1, loop, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that gives us a double crochet in American terms. And then we're going to chain 1 and do another double crochet into the same space. So I'm assuming you already know how to do a double crochet. They're probably the first stitch that I used from my great aunt, although she called them treble crochets, which is the UK term. So the first time we skipped 1, and now the rest of the pattern we're going to skip 2. So skip this space and skip this space, and then we're going to do another V-stitch into that next one there. So double crochet, chain 1, and then another double crochet into the same spot. And I want to take a minute to remind you that this pattern is available on our Facebook group, and it is in written tutorial, so there are accompanying pictures with it. And hopefully I'll have a website soon, so depending on how far in the future you're viewing this video, I might have a website. We'll see if I can ever get around to creating one with 3 boys at home. So go ahead and finish up the row in the same manner, which is V-stitch, and then skip 2 stitches. And the V-stitch that we are using is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So go ahead and do that all the way across, and I will meet you for the last stitch in this row. So for our last stitch in row 3, we're going to skip the last 2 spaces as we have been doing, and just put a double crochet in that turning chain there on the end. Okay, and let's go back and review what we have so far. So we should have 9 V-stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the double crochets on the side. And that's what that should be looking like. Now let's go ahead and turn and get started with row 3. So we're going to do another chainless standing double crochet. So we pull that up to the height of a double crochet, hold that tension, wrap it around, place it in that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. Okay, and now we're going to start off with our first long double crochet. So the double crochet is, or the long double crochet is going to be done exactly the same, except we're going to be skipping this row. So when we skip this row, we're going to have to make our stitch longer than normal, and that's why it's called a long double crochet. So go ahead and yarn over, and then we're going to place a long double crochet into that first skip stitch from the row below. So go ahead and place through, and then through the back we're going to grab our yarn, And then we're going to pull it up to match the height of those V-stitches from the last row. And then pull through 2, pull through 2. So that's our first long double crochet. So you can see it's kind of like it has long legs. Then we're going to chain 1, yarn over, and go into that second stitch. Make sure to pull that loop up nice and long, and that's what makes it the long double crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2. And that's going to be the start. That's what we're going to do the whole way through. We're going to do long double crochet, chain 1, long double crochet. So we skip over that V-stitch. Always, we're going to be ignoring this row in between. We're going to go down below. So place in there, yarn over, and make sure to pull that up long. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then chain 1, and do another long double crochet. So yarn over, place in there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there you can see the start of our pattern here. Let's go down and do that again. So yarn over, go into the first skip stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, pull it up nice and long, pull through 2, pull through 2, chain 1. So you want to make sure that you're not pulling up too high or too low on this long double crochet, because if you pull up too long, it's going to get a little bit snaggy and it won't look as nice and tight. Sounds to me like my infant is waking up. So I will be right back with you guys. I'm back. The baby is fed. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll do this one more time with you. So we'll do another set of long DCs. So we'll do one in the skip space. So, like I said, I like to pull the yarn to just about there, and I find that that's the way to keep my stitches the most consistent. So, pull it to there. Oops. Okay, so go ahead and do that all the way across, and I will meet you in our last stitch. Okay, so our last set here is going to go into the same empty single crochet space, and that's just in an effort to keep our crochet along having the borders of the 30 stitches. So if you're doing a different size, it might not be that way. So let me go ahead into there. And then our last stitch is going to be a double crochet, and doing the long DCs, just make sure that you're pulling out that stitch so that you're getting into the top of that turning chain. Otherwise our edges are going to be weird. So we want to just kind of pull that out, and then I'll find the top of that turning chain there, and we're going to do a double crochet in the end. Okay. All right. So that is the setup of our pattern. So from here on out, we're going to be repeating the same thing. The only exception is on our 1, 2, 3 even rows, we're going to start with a chain 1, just because we have kind of a big jump to get to our first. So this gray row right here is what I'm talking about. It's an even row, and we just have to make a kind of a little bit of a jump there. So we're going to put an extra chain in to make sure that we can get that far. Sorry, my dealing with a little bit of a yarn issue here. There we go. All right, so we're going to start off with a chainless standing double crochet, or a chain 3 if you're not comfortable doing that. Okay, so you can do a chain 3 instead of that chainless standing double crochet if you need to, and then we're going to chain 1. And like I said before, when we're doing the long double crochets, we're going to ignore the row immediately below us, and we're going to go into the row below that. So we have that chain 1 just to make sure that we don't get a slant on this, on our edges too much here. Okay, so what we're going to do is a long double crochet, a chain one, and a long double crochet all into the same space, and that's going to be our long V-stitches. So let's go ahead and do our first one. So we place in, let me slow that down, sorry. We're going to place in here. So we have our V-stitch from this row 2, and you can see the chain 1 area. I'm just kind of pulling this apart so that you can see better. You won't have to pull yours apart that far. So we're going to put both of our long double crochets into that stitch. Alright, so we'll do a long, pull that up. Sometimes you get this little flappy thing, and that's going to cause the stitch not to be so great. So let me redo that cast. Alright. So there's our first long double crochet, and we'll do another. So that's our first long V-stitch, and you can see it skips that row and goes into the row beneath it, and that's what's going to give it that basket kind of a look. Alright, and there's no chain in between, so let's go ahead and do that again. Long DC, chain 1, and another long DC. Sorry about that. I really am loving the colors on this energetic emerald. Emerald Energy, sorry, from Sugar and Cream. And I'm reading the label here, and it's 100% US cotton, and it's fabricated in Canada. So that's kind of cool for those of you that are nervous about shipping from overseas during this pandemic that we have. Alright, so we're just going to keep going all the way across, doing that same thing with the long double crochets, V-stitches. So I will, you can see here by how fast I'm going, you can really get into the swing of it. So let me do it one more time slow with you, and then I'll meet you at the end. So we're going to yarn over, go into that space, pull up to the same height, pull through 2, pull through 2, chain 1, and then do another long double crochet, yarn over through the back, pull through 2, pull through 2. So as you can see, once you get going, this is a pretty easy stitch, and you don't have to worry so much about stitch counts because you are going in between the V-stitches. So it's not that hard to know where to place your hook, and you can find your mistakes pretty easily without counting. Alright, I might as well just finish this row with you. So let's do this last space here. So remember, we skip this and we go down to the row below. And then we're just going to place a double crochet into the last space. Alright, let me pause and review with you guys. So you can see from our first row with the long DCs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the long DC parts together. These, I don't want to call them V-stitches because they're going into separate stitches. Each of the long DCs are going in, separately. But that first row is going to have 10, and then the next row will have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's going to continue all the way up. So you'll go between 10 and 9, 10 and 9. I believe I used 19 rows to maintain the gauge, but I want to make sure I let you guys know that everyone's crochet stitches are going to be different sizes. So it's not important that you're matching my sizes, it's important that you're matching your squares. So if you need more or less than 19 rows, Just do what maintains the size of your squares. My squares don't actually end up being squares. I should be calling them blocks. As I didn't do the first square, I didn't write that pattern, so mine are not perfectly square. And that's just because my crochet stitches end up being a little bit shorter than other people because I keep that tension so tight. But they should all match. So this was our first square that I didn't choose the size for, so that's why they're a little bit rectangle. But it's okay. It doesn't. So some of you might be getting square results while I'm getting rectangle, and it's just because my stitches tend to be a little bit shorter. So let me do this next row with you. So we're going to end up with 10 of the V-stitches in this row. Alright, so I did a chainless dunning double crochet there while I was talking, so you can go ahead and do that. And if you're not comfortable, you can do a chain 3. And then we're going to go and we're going to ignore this row beneath us and go to the row below that, and we need a V-stitch here. So let's go ahead and do one. When we are doing this stitch, the V-stitches are going to kind of stack up in the same way that the moss and pike stitches did. Okay, so I went to grab my my moss stitch sample, and I just wanted to kind of compare something with you. So you can see in our moss stitch how the stitches stack up on top of each other, and that's also what we're going to be wanting to look for in this V-stitch back, or this basket V-stitch. We want these to stack up on top of each other, so when you're going on the edges, that's how you're going to know where to place your next V-stitch. So that was our moss or linen stitch. You can always find our other squares on my channel. And I'll put a link to the first crochet square or block for us. Was done by Daisy, so I will make sure to include that just because it's a V-stitch and we're talking so much about V-stitches this week. Okay, so we're going to want to do our next long DC in here. Oops, so yarn over once, then we'll go down into that nice gap that we created when we were working on row 3. Pull up, and then we'll chain 1 and do another long double crochet. So we're doing that long V-stitch. Okay, and we don't chain anything, and we jump to that next one from row 3. Chain 1, go back in there. Now you can see that it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it to find where to place your hooks. I hope that you like this one as much as I do. It was fun to make my little basket here in the background. It did work out pretty quickly. Takes about the same amount of time as a regular V-stitch. Just a little bit longer to set up. So if you guys have any questions, I think you should be able to finish this out by yourself now. I'll just finish this row as I'm talking to you guys. Oops, I forgot my chain 1 in the middle there. That was something I did lose a little bit on this pattern. Make sure to get that chain 1 in there. So I'll just keep chatting while I finish off. I hope that you guys enjoy this stitch as much as me. It's really fun to make that basket and make a little purse for my niece. Please join us on our community in Facebook if you're interested. We have a group. It's just another crochet group, and I'll make sure to include that link in the bio, or in the description, I'm sorry. And it has all of our patterns in written form, and most of them are photo tutorials. So it has the written instructions along with pictures, and they're all free patterns there. It's also fun to share our results with each other, to see our color combinations, and to work through any problems that you might find with my pattern, because I make mistakes, or if you're having trouble with a certain part. Oops. Let me do this last V-stitch. So like I said before, sometimes you just have to kind of pull at this last one to make sure that you get your stitch into the right, your last stitch of the row into the top of the turning chain. And this one does have that chain one, so let me go here. So I, along with the Facebook, I also have an Instagram, Tumblr, and TikTok. If you would like to see what I'm working on there. And there you have it. That's all you need to know for the pattern. The rest of the pattern is going to be repeating those last 2 rows that we did. So you'll change between having 9 and 10 V's per row. I will do the math and figure out how many stitches you need if you're going to be doing another row, and I'll put that in the description. So if you want to do this in a different size, just check out the description for the math on how to figure out how long to make your chain. Please give the video a like and a comment if you would. And if anyone asks where I am, until next week, just tell them she's stitching.